All right, you guys, welcome to our call today. We are talking about skip tracing secrets, and I'm going to turn the call over to my buddy Ray and have him take over with Stephen.
I love it. Hey guys, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. Steve, welcome to the party.
Thank you.
Before we kick off and I ask Steve to introduce himself, there is a QR code here that you can scan before you start Googling prime tracers. We set up an arrangement with Steve so you get a little bit more bang for your buck with what you're doing when we get to the end of this thing. There's also a link in the chat, which I will drop again right now. And if anybody's watching the replay, we'll have the link in the description so you can get to it. So take a peek at that. And Steve, I'm going to pass you the mic. Please I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself and then let's hit the gas on the slides.
Perfect. Yeah, we got a lot to go through today. Guys, my name is Steven Morales. I am the senior partner over at Prime Tracers. We are a prop tech and data company that started a couple years ago. And I've actually been in the real estate industry now for around a decade. I started back in 2015, and I'm a real estate investor. I'm also a wholesaler, and I've also been licensed since that time as well. And we basically came up with this product, or actually, I was brought on as a senior partner of this product. My partner Aaron Stevens is the CEO, and he's our lead developer that has developed this app and has a vast database that has been aggregated over the last 2 decades. And so we have done real estate deals in the past, and essentially he saw me working on some other prop tech software before and was curious about what I was doing. And so that's how Prime Changes basically came to be. So it was more of like, my will, his hands, because I understand being an investor for the last 10 years, and I understood what you guys and and agents as well are looking for when they're using a prop tech software. So let's go ahead and get right into it.
Thanks, Steve.
So before you leave today, you'll know how to build lists the right way, how to skip trace with the highest accuracy, and also start seller conversations effectively. And we're going to do this all without paying for overpriced tools. So what's the problem that you're facing, and a lot of people are facing today, is that most realtors and investors are finding that a lot of these lists that you're getting and that you get from these other sites, a lot of them are going to be outdated, and that's going to lead you to dead ends. There's a lot of big name tools out there that are going to charge you huge fees for data that's really not even verified, or it's going to be recycled. And what some of you probably have found over the years is that you could spend thousands on tools and actually never even come up with results, or you may just be getting just the right result to where you can go month to month between what you're actually getting on deal wise and what you're having to spend back into your marketing and tools. And the issue with most tools is that these other big name prop tech companies are charging anywhere for $90 to $100 a month. Plus, you're still having to spend that 7 to 15 cents per skip trace records. A lot of times they have really great marketing ads that they put out there that they basically rope you into paying like a hefty annual fee. And they'll even sometimes offer you free script tracing, but what they won't tell you about that data is there's going to be either hidden fees, or worse, you're really not going to find that their data is very accurate at all. And so not all skip tracing is created equal. And when you bundle tools, you're saving on cost by providing old data. A lot of these services repackage the same information to save on their update costs. And so you would want to use a service where they're updating their stuff daily. A lot of these other services, they can be taking months to update their data. And the reason for that, of course, is very expensive. So in their mind is if they're going to have you roped into subscription costs, what's the point if, let's say, 80% of their customer base ends up not using the product after a month, they forget about their subscription? There's no real reason for them to have to pay that premium if you're stuck in a sticky subscription. And so there's going to be opportunity here. The opportunity is that there's millions of sellers out there right now, owners in distress, vacant properties, entire landlords that you're not capitalizing on, that other investors and wholesalers are. And what you need is a vast database of property owners, better data, and you also just don't need more leads. You need better ones. You need higher quality data to convert more deals. And so this is going to be for realtors, for real estate investors, and any wholesalers looking for more deal flow. And your job as an investor or as an agent is to scale conversations across all of your markets. And your end goal is to get in contact with these sellers and have high connection rates. So making calls on your target list that you create daily, weekly, or monthly A lot of realtors and investors that we work with, they normally create their list monthly, their targeted list, and they still base it off a volume game. So it's all about keep those initial conversations short and sweet and going immediately if you get a rejection. And of course, you also want to follow up continuously with your lead list because it takes several touches. Some people say 2 to 3, but really it takes 7 to 12 touches for these leads to convert sometimes. And so what you're going to learn today is how to build powerful lead lists. We're going to be able to target absentee owners, high equity sellers, tax liens, even pre-probate leads, pre-foreclosures, and much more. You're also going to be able to use multiple list filters, such as finding people with 10 years or plus ownership, out-of-state owner information, even number of properties that people own in their portfolio and the portfolio value. You're going to be able to stack criteria to increase the quality of your lead list and target the niche that's right for you. And that's where our company, Prime Chasers, comes into play. We use entity defining attributes, advanced matching algorithms. We have configurable confidence levels for each of our contact data points. We use persistent ID creation. We have one of the most vast databases in the US, and it actually gets updated every 24 hours through the 8,000 indexes that we have. And that means that we actually have 2 trillion data sets across 270 million households and 65 million businesses. And to put it out in layman's terms, that means much higher accuracy. So a lot of our users are seeing 80% or more accuracy, while the industry average is around 40 to 50%. You're also going to get unlimited access to off-market property data. We have our property database comes up with up to 160 million or more residential homes. We even have some commercial properties on there, but our biggest strength is going to be the residential side. There's also no subscriptions for Prime Tracers. We don't believe in junk data, and our skip tracing is completely pay as you go. So to create an account on Prime Tracers, if you guys have actually used that QR code yet, you'll actually find that it's completely free to sign up. We just need an email. And what you'll get with Prime Tracers is you get access to several comp filters to determine home values. You'll gain access to like property details and visual aids that will help you make more informed decisions. And of course, as discussed in the previous slide, you're going to get much higher accuracy rating on the contact data that you do get from skip tracing. We have dozens of lead filters for you to go ahead and create your list. We also have walkthroughs available. You can even book one-on-one sessions with me or one of our other lead specialists. And we also have some very helpful information coming out. We have Prime Persona coming out, which is actually a demographic database that we have that we're going to basically present to our users. That's to be fully digestible. And you're going to be able to find people based on like credit score ranges, individual net worth, incomes, rental portfolios, familial status, if they rent or own, and much more. And from here, I'm actually going to dive right into it before we go into our testimonial. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how this product works. And what we're going to do first is we're going to build a high equity list. And the benefit of a high equity list is that it's perfect for either realtors looking to get a key listing or an investor that wants to work with a homeowner that has high equity in their home. So let's go ahead and do that. Can everybody see my screen here? Okay, perfect. So I'm going to dive. This is basically the front page here. So you can see we have free instant access. Before you even sign in, you could actually go ahead and start researching properties. Like if, let's say I looked up Phoenix, Arizona, it'll go and pop up here, and you can even select your lead type, whether it's absentee owner, adjustable loan, cash buyer, whatever the case may be. But once you have an account, you're just going to go straight to your dashboard and go to Property List Builder. And so for this example, I'm going to go ahead and pull up Jacksonville, Florida. And then once I select Jacksonville, Florida, you'll notice that we have 75,000 properties that came to result because I actually have this under a high equity list already. But what I'm going to go ahead and do here, let me go ahead and reset these filters here. Sorry about that. There we go. So you'll see that we actually have 374,591 off-market properties in Jacksonville. We have lead types that you can select from, which is going to be like absentee owner, adjustable loans. You have cash buyer lists that you can make. You can find properties that have probate flags on them, which is normally there's been like a death in the family, or a death flag is what we call it. And it'll allow you to basically find properties where they're either in pre-probate or they're in an active probate situation. We also have properties that are going to be on MLS. This gets updated weekly from the MLS systems across all 50 states. We also have pre-foreclosure data. And so, these are normally people that have to sell within the next month or two before they go into foreclosure. We also have access to people who've gotten loans through private lenders. You also have access to tax lien properties as well and vacant properties. For this example, to just keep it as simple as possible, because a lot of, like I said, high equity is a pretty fantastic list to use if you're trying to get listings or properties with enough equity to where you can give them a cash offer and it'll be acceptable to the owner. So for this example, I'm going to do single family homes, and we're going to go into our advanced filters here. And property characteristics, this really depends. If you're an investor and let's say you want to do like a 3-2, you could select that if you want. But just because I'm going to kind of keep it neutral, I'm going to ignore the number of bedrooms and baths. You can also sort by the area square footage, year built, the lot size, the stories, and even some additional home features as well. But we're going to ignore this just for this example. So when we go to ownership info, you can select between individuals, LLC owned properties, banks, or trust. I'm going to select individuals because they're easier to work with for listings, right? Especially if we're doing residential. You can do absentee owner if you want to narrow down your list more. And you can also do out-of-state owners if you'd like. But for this example, we're going to leave those blank and we're just do individual owners. I'm going to set my minimum years of ownership to 10. And then I'm going to go down to my valuation and equity. And then I'm going to go ahead and put at least 50% equity, and we'll do greater than or equal to. I'm going to go ahead and hit save and apply. And then you'll see that that's for our 75,939 properties. So out of these almost 76,000 properties, all of these are going to be 50% equity or more. They're going to be individual owners that own single family homes, and they've owned their homes for at least 10 years, right? So there's probably a likelihood that they're going to want to sell and maybe capitalize on that equity. And as you can see to our right here, under our results, we're gonna have multiple property cards that show up and have information on each individual property. So for this example, let's click on this property here on Corby Street. And you'll see that you'll have a little Google image of the property. It's gonna have the basic property detail. So number of bedrooms, number of baths, the square footage, the APN number, last sale, and last sale date. On that next card, you're going to see like mortgage information. So you can see that we have 2 open mortgages on this property with an estimated balance of $88,951. You also have their current active mortgage right here as mortgage 1. And then they have a second mortgage here that's active as well. You'll also see that under mortgage information, we have some helpful information such as the loan amount, the loan terms, interest rate, which is actually an estimated interest rate. We gathered this information from Freddie Mac. And we basically take the interest rate that was the average interest rate that was going at that month and year. And then we also have like the estimated payment just based on the balance alone. To our right, we have our opportunity card, which shows the amount of estimated equity in the property, the estimated value of the property, which is a lender grade AVM. You'll notice here to the right, there's also a confidence score. Like this property here has a 94% confidence score. And anything above 93% or higher, you're probably going to be within a $10,000 to $20,000 strike range of that property, meaning that estimated value. And as we go down here, we'll see that there's ownership information. So Cheryl Davis owns this. No one else owns it with her. We have the mailing address here. We get property characteristics. We get the additional tax information, the building information, lot information, which includes the legal description for those of you who put those in your contracts. And then you also have owners linked properties. If someone owns a portfolio, their property is going to pop up here along with the portfolio information, which includes their open mortgage balances across all their portfolios and their estimated portfolio value. So if I wanted to do a single skip trace here, I would just click on this button here, and then you could actually just do phone numbers and or emails. So let's go ahead and just do phone numbers and emails, see what we get back. And as you can see, we actually had 2 phone numbers that came back. So we had a landline that came back as the most suggested number, and then a mobile number as well. And so we could use these numbers and call this owner directly and call Cheryl directly about her home at 3334 Corby Street. There's also pre-foreclosure details. So if there's any historic pre-foreclosure information, it'll pop up here. So it looks like she had some pre-foreclosure that she went through in 2007, and luckily she got out of that because obviously she still owns the home. There's also some basic demographic information which shows the median income of that area. So for this neighborhood, the average income is $53,488. And then I'll also go through the fair market rent based on bedroom size. These are just general guidelines. They're not going to be exact. It's just there to help you. And so the last tab I want to share with you guys is going to be the comps and nearby listings. So using our services, you can actually run comps for free. And so you can see our subject property is listed by this pin here. And to the right, we have our filters. And so like I like to do last 6 months, we'll do 10 results. and then I'll do a search radius, pretty aggressive radius, about half a mile. And if you wanted to, you could also do it do a range of square footage. So a lot of people like to do between 200 to 300, give or take, in square feet. You could also do within like the last decade of year built, right? Within the last 10 years. But if you see here, we already have all these properties popped up, and then it has a breakdown of all the comps here. It'll show you the distance. You can organize it by distance, or you can organize it by last sale date, which I like to do. And then you'll also have the price for each property, beds and baths, square footage, lot size, year built, so that you can help run your comps better. As you select your comps, you'll actually see these numbers here showing as 0 value. But once you start adding comps to your comp sheet, you'll notice that this number will start changing. So we actually have, just based on these 3 properties we selected, we have a comp base value of 291,000 and a square footage base value of 286,000. And you could actually download this report and save it for later as well. We also have a detailed, nice looking PDF report that's gonna be coming out in the next month or so. And so if you wanted to go ahead and, let's say, skip trace a certain list, so we would go to this little box here for our bulk select properties. You can select a property range list if you'd like. So let's say I wanted to skip trace the first 25 properties in this list. I would go ahead and do 0 through 25, apply the selected range. I would go ahead and select the 25 properties here. You'll notice that the download box is going to be kind of waving at us here, asking if we want to go ahead and download or skip trace it. So we're going to go ahead and preview our list. And then you'll see that this is our entire 25 records that we pulled. You can download this list completely free, or if you want, you could download and skip trace the list. So if I were to click this, it'll give me options for skip tracing. So you could do multiple phone numbers if you'd like. It'll do up to 3 phone numbers. And we actually used to do up to 6, but we found that, when you're trying to convert as much as possible, time, you have to utilize your time as best as you can. And with the multiple phone numbers, the first number that we give you in that first column is going to be probably the most accurate number for you to call on. It's going to have the highest confidence score. And then the second number is going to be like the second most confident number. And then the third, you're probably looking at like a 20% hit rate on it actually being someone related to the owner. And so that's why we've trimmed up our multiple phone numbers a bunch. But this is going to help increase your KPIs and help you with your deal flow much more. If you want to, you can do mobile numbers only. Some people do texting and stuff. We wouldn't recommend that unless you have opt-in with that person, but you can do mobile numbers only if you want to just skip trace mobile numbers. If you want to do emails, you can add emails as well. Emails are 1 extra credit. If you want to just do emails, you can go ahead and select no phone numbers and then just have emails selected as well. But totally up to you. For this example, I'm just going to do multiple phone numbers and then hit proceed. And as you can see, it'll go and tell you that it's going to start processing the list. It processes pretty quick. It's only 25 records. So that's another thing too, just to let you guys know, is that it does take time to attach records to your list. And so if you, let's say, had a 10,000 record list, it'd probably take about 15, 20 minutes for all those records to get appended to your list. But once it's ready, you can go ahead and click here to return. You can navigate away from that page too if you don't have time to wait. And you'll see here that we have this property, the property file names here. We have the list size, which is 25 properties, and we have 25 contacts out of the 25 list. So if I actually pull up the sheet here, I've already pre-pulled. You'll notice that this is how your sheet will look like. And then you'll have your address, city, county, state, zip. It'll have the listed owner's first name, listed owner's last name, and the second owner's first name and second owner's last name as well. You'll have the mailing address information, right? If you need to do mailers, as I think Tracy said she does mailers as well. And then we have the equity percentages, right? And we also have phone numbers as well. So if you did mobile only, your mobile numbers would pop up here, but because we did multiple phone numbers, we have up to 3 lines that pop up. It'll also give you the line type of each number, and it'll give you an optional first name or last name in case this person ends up not being the one that answers that phone. But most of the time, it's going to match for individual owners. This is more so of a feature for people that are skip tracing lists that have corporate or LLC information, and we have to pierce that LLC veil to get access to an individual who's a business decision maker for that company. And so you'll have that information as well for LLCs and trust. And then under your activity page, you actually can import lists too. So let's say if you use a different service, you can import your own list here and map it. So if I were to select this, and I just went ahead and picked, let's say, a random test here, and I imported this file, you could actually go ahead and select multiple phone numbers, mobile only, emails as well, just like how we did on that last screen. And then you could just select as you go. Now, if you're importing a list, we always suggest that you import using the mailing address info only, because obviously there are people out there who own multiple homes, and the mailing address information is going to tie to the person that actually owns the property. So you always want to map mailing address information. And so that's pretty much the demonstration we have. We'll go into Q&A in terms of when you guys have questions about that. But to finish off the rest of this presentation here. We have tons of testimonials. There's even testimonials on our site that you guys can look up as well. But one of my favorite testimonials was someone that we worked with last year. Chris Lindham, you can actually even find him on Facebook. He's an advocate for prime tracers. When I was working with him, he basically took 9 months before he actually made the decision that he wanted to get into real estate investing. And he was in Nashville, Tennessee. So Chris found a property in Nashville, and he used prime tracers for his skip tracing to get contact information. And his strategy was doing 10,000 records a month, because he knew that if he worked the numbers, that he should be able to get 1 or 2 contracts just from working the numbers alone. He didn't have to be good at sales. His first deal, he actually made $35,000. His second deal, it was like 37, and the next one after that was 32,000. So over the last 4 months of him using our strategy and using our system, he essentially made $100,000. And his biggest regret when he talked to me was that he didn't start sooner. And so this is some actual Facebook chats with Chris. And this was him being excited about closing his first deal back in July last year. And then this is him in September of last year telling me how, he had his first 3 deals have all been over $30,000, and he's still using prime tracers, and that he actually went ahead and bought his own property out in Tennessee, which they are building on still. And so, it's time to adapt, guys. The market's changing. More investors are chasing fewer deals. Skip tracing, of course, with bad data is going to cost you, is be a lot of opportunity costs. It's going to waste a lot of your time. So the data that you get is very valuable. And some of you probably have used skip tracing in the past and understand the value of good data. Most sellers are going to work with the first person that contacts them. So having that accurate data is really going to get you in front of that seller quicker. And so obviously better data equals better deals. So what Ray and I came up with is a 7-day game plan. So step 1 is going to build a list of pre-foreclosures, tax liens, and high equity lists, whichever you prefer. You can refer to the video walkthrough or watch this video again to see how that's done. And then step 2 is to use our skip tracing to get contact details. So multiple phone numbers are best, like what I just did. I would definitely use that. And then for step 3, I would say try calling 750 sellers this week. Now, most people end up using like dialer systems. There's triple line dialers out there. Some of you with brokerages, they may already provide you with those type of tools. And honestly, if you have a triple line dialer, and if you called, let's say, or had someone call for you 8 hours a day, if you hired a VA, you'd be able to call or do up to 800 to 1,000 dials a day. But I wanted to keep this simple so it's manageable for you guys to work with. So 750 sellers this week, this between now and next Thursday, I feel like would be a great goal for you guys to shoot for. And it should be very accomplishable. And so, obviously it's free to try it. We pride ourselves in being a pay-as-you-go service. So there's no subscriptions, just results. You get 100 free skip tracing credits just for signing up using the QR code below. And we'll add that to you as well. And then we'll just go ahead and jump into the Q&A here. There is pricing we can go over as well if you guys want to go over that. But I want to kind of answer any questions you guys have first.
So Stephen, real quick, I just want to make sure that everyone understands that everything that you showed them how to do on the call today, with the exception of getting the phone number and the email address, is completely free.
Yeah. So if like your main strategy is mailers, you could use our service as much as you want for free. We have some people that do that. And then if they decide to go ahead and do skip tracing, they can do that as well.
Excellent. And so talk to us a little bit, like you said, the phone number is 1 credit and the email address is another credit.
Correct.
And with the code, they're getting 100 free credits. So they could either get 100 phone numbers or 50 with phone number and email address if they wanted to test it out, right?
Yeah, that's right, Debbie. And actually, you get 25 free credits just for signing up. And then I'm going to add an additional 100 credits to everybody who was a part of this webinar today. So you'll have 125 free credits to use.
Excellent. Excellent. Love that. All right. Now, who's got questions?
I'll
what's
jump in. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, this is pretty good. What's the price? I mean,
So great question, right? How much does it
Yeah.
cost? So
Right.
very affordable. Like I said, I had Aaron build this out in mind with investors and agents getting started. Our goal here is low barrier entry so that you could start seeing results with minimal investment. So if we go to pricing here, it's all based on tiers, and the tier system is essentially
Stephen,
how
hold
much.
on. You're not sharing your screen.
Yeah.
Oh, didn't I? Let me
No,
break
I
that.
killed your screen share. That's all my fault, Steve.
Oh, okay.
So
Thanks,
we
Ray.
could talk. So yeah, we can
No
jump back
worries.
in and
Yeah, the
illustrate
QA.
pricing.
Yeah. Okay, let me do this. Here we
Zoom
go.
has
You
its
guys
own
see my screen
live.
again?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, fantastic. So we do all of our pricing as a pay-as-you-go model, and it's all based on tiers. And so the way that it works is that the more that you purchase at once, the more that you save. So a lot of people starting out start around silver or gold tier, and that would be anywhere from 5 cents a record to 6 cents per record. And then for like the more, I guess, confident and advanced investors and agents we work with, like teams will do diamond tier because they get 3 cents per match, and the minimum purchase is 50,000 credits. So I'm giving you guys basically 100 credits plus the 25 free credits for signing up. So you have 125 credits to work with. That's essentially how this works, is that it's 1 credit for multiple phone numbers, 1 credit for just mobile numbers, or 1 credit for email. So it really just is how much you want to buy at once. So like, for example, that I gave you guys a goal of 750, right? For your first few calls for the next week. You would just come here, purchase credits, and let's say you wanted to go ahead and get another, sorry, it's a little small here, the print, but let's say you wanted to get another like 525 to get you to that 750, right? Or no, you do 625. So let's say you did 625, right? So it'd be 43 bucks for that. But the other thing too is you got to remember is that we're based on tier systems, and so there's you can go jump to the next tier, get 750 credits for $45 in the silver tier. So it's all about once you purchase your credits, they stay in your account until you need to use them. It just depends on your comfort level, what's right for your budget, right? Because some people come in here and they'll buy 10,000 credits at 400, and that's their monthly allowance, right? They'll generate 1 to 2 deals off this, and they'll come back and they'll spend another 10,000 the next month, or buy another 10,000 credits the next month at 4 cents per record. So it really just depends on what your budget is. Does anyone have, I know that can get a little confusing, so if anyone has questions or needs me to highlight on that.
So you're saying, Steven, if I purchase 200 for the month, it's 200 times 6 cents, whatever that is, I don't know,
Or
20
200
bucks.
times 7. Yeah, exactly.
So
So like, let's say
20
you
bucks.
did Yep, that's it. So like 200 is 14 bucks, right? So you buy 200 credits, 14 bucks, and then, if you need to buy it again, you just buy it when you need it. There's no cancellation because there is no subscription. It's just you buy what you need.
Okay, so every month can change. 1 month can be 14, second month can be 500 bucks.
Well, yeah, let's say next month, right? You close on a couple deals and you're ready to jump to gold and you want 3,000 credits. So you get 3,000 credits. You basically, what is that? Almost 8x your business, and you're just spending 150 bucks for 3,000 records. And then you get those 3,000 credits added to your wallet here. Another thing that I want to mention as well, because you bring up a great point. As far as like credit deductions go, so like let's say like that example I gave you guys, it had 25 contacts get added to that list, right? So that's 25 credits that got used. If let's say only 20 came back out of the 25, you only get charged 20 credits. You're not going to get charged anything that does not get attached to your records.
Okay, so another question. So if I buy 200, for example, and I pay, I don't know, 14 bucks, and I go over those phone calls in a week, then I can purchase another 200 if I want and pay another 14 bucks.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. It's literally just whatever you want to pay at that time.
Okay.
So sometimes it's better. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean, finish that because then I have another question.
No, because I was just saying, like, so really it just depends on, your comfort level and your confidence level, like where you're going to be at in business. So it is going to be a little bit of like, okay, well, if, you start working the numbers, you realize, how many listings you're getting per, let's say 1,000 that you pull, or how many deals you're getting per 1,000, then you can kind of adjust on what you want to invest that month, because you don't want to keep buying 200 credits at a time. if let's say you could go to silver and buy 750 credits, you know, at 6 cents per record, because you're paying 7 cents per record at bronze, right? So you save more money if you buy more up front. That's how that works.
But you can change your you can do silver 1 month, you can do gold the following month, or you can go back to okay. Now, I mean, you know that there are 7,000 softwares out there, and why? I mean, everybody tells everybody mine is the best. That's just the way just the way business is. So why you and not perhaps Prim? I think that's the name of one, or what you
Well,
and not batch leads. I mean, they're saying, yeah, our data it's current, it's the best, and you're telling me the same thing. Of course,
Right.
on yours, there's no subscription, which is awesome. The other ones do charge that, and then the other ones with the subscription, I don't know. I haven't used one of those in a while. I think you have some you get whatever address you want, and then if you want to skip tracing, you pay between 8 cents and 12 cents. Now
Right.
with you, I like the prices more, but I mean, but the data pretty much comes from the same place.
No, our contact data is completely different. So I will say this, as far as prop tech companies go, a lot of us will derive our information from different major databases, right? You got CoreLogic, you got Atom, you have REAPI, you have a lot of different APIs that we pull our information from. All those APIs, they pull information from the county, from over 3,000 county records. So when you look at our property information, all of our property information is aggregated from those sources where they pull it from the county, and that gets updated as the county sends more information to us. So I would say property wise, like property information wise, we're all very similar in terms of like, you know, the information we get on property details. The key to Prime Tracers is our contact data side, and that's where our CEO Aaron comes in, because he works with guys who've been aggregating data for 20 plus years and gets the data straight from the source. And because of that, we're able to give it at a discount as well. We're able to pass the savings onto our users. But that's also why we also boast. I know you're saying everybody says they have the highest accuracy rate, right? But that's why we give free credits out, because we know that we're going to be one of the highest accuracy softwares in the industry, one of the highest accuracy providers in the industry. And so that's why we give our stuff for free. And sometimes, you know, people are like, hey, can I try a little bit more? And, you know, maybe we'll give them like another 25 credits or something. But we're very confident in our contact information. In fact, you know, we have tons of people that switch to us every day because they're tired of, you know, getting bad connection rates, or because a lot of times this is the thing, you know, and I won't say any names, but there are companies out there that, let's say, they had users for years pay to have their skip tracing done, right? Like pay per lead and stuff like that. And then they will aggregate it over time and resell at a discount price, or they'll say, hey, it's free now, because now they've had that for so long, right? They're just recycling the data. And then once the complaints get high enough, then they have to update our data. Whereas us, we update our data every day and we pay that price, which is why we have to charge what we do per record, because we're trying to keep the quality as high as possible while keeping the savings and passing that on to our users. So our contact database, just to go back to your original question, it is completely different from any of the big prop tech guys that you've heard of. And that's, you know, and also, you know, that's why you're just hearing about us, is because we are very up and coming. And literally before this, like this prime persona stuff, like that's how we're able to have like demographic information. We can literally have an audience builder where you can build people based on their religion, if they have children in the household, how many children they have, what their credit score range is, if they have a high-end credit card, how many credit lines they have open, what kind of car they drive, the make, model, the year. We are through and through a data company. And so that's why our contact data is completely different than probably anything you've seen before.
Got it. Okay, and that goes for the pre-foreclosure as well, because as you know, those people, they don't answer their phones. Some of those, most of those numbers don't work because they're just pretty much just about to die. Put it that way.
Yeah. Well, put it this way. To answer your question about pre-foreclosures, that's another great point you bring up. So, and maybe Ray has talked with this about talked about this, but you know, when it comes to pre-foreclosures and it comes to very targeted, really, like we're talking about high targeted lead lists, right? It's water shutoffs, pre-foreclosures, probates, right? Tax liens. Those are very nice target lists, and most of the time, those are very motivated sellers. But the problem is, everybody is targeting the same couple hundred properties every single day. So you have people that are going to be individual investors you're going to have brokerages, you're going to have big teams of brokerages, big teams of investors that are calling those highly targeted lists. And so that's why I preach a lot about, high equity, and why I showed everyone here how, how to pull high equity lists, because those are broader strokes. Those people are probably getting calls maybe once or twice a day. Sometimes they're not getting calls, right? On a daily basis. But these other highly targeted lists, they're getting 12, 15 calls from 15 different people a day. And so they just stop answering their phones because they got debt collectors calling them. They got you and 10 other investors calling them every day. And so that's why, you're going to have low connection rates calling those properties anyways, those types of lead types, because of just the type, what comes with that territory, essentially.
Got it. Okay, cool. Thank you.
I hope that helps. Thank you, though, Rodrigo. I appreciate your input.
Thank you.
Amy, did you have questions too?
I did. Hey, Stephen, so I'm in a second home market. All of my clients are, they don't live at the house, and wondering how you do with that kind of data. I'm also in a very small community. I mean, 50,000 people total. So yeah, just looking for some feedback on that, because I can't imagine why we wouldn't just skip trace them all if we can find them.
I mean, you're talking about just like for like the smaller communities?
Yeah.
Oh, are you talking about like in terms of like, are you worried about like maxing out a list quickly? Is that's kind of like your concern?
No, I'm looking for email addresses and phone numbers just to see if there's, what people were missing we have a huge database, and we've never done skip tracing in 25 years. So definitely new to it, but we're very good at making those 750 calls and using triple dialers and things of that nature. So I'm just looking to reach more people. But I've found when I look for lists before that, because I'm a second home market, we just don't get very many. And so wondering how you do that. Absentee owner is almost all of my business.
Gotcha. Well, like I said, we do have that, and like I said, it probably piggybacks off a lot. This is what I was telling Rodrigo earlier, is that what's your market right now? We could look at it based up on location. What's that second home market you have? Is it a
Breckenridge,
county?
Colorado. Yeah, Summit County, Colorado.
Hey, Steve, if you want to reshare your screen, we can do it live.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, what was the name again? Sorry.
Summit County, Colorado.
Okay, here we go. Summit County pops up. And so, yeah, it's pretty small, right? 38,588. That's all the properties that are popping up from our database, right?
Yep.
So we did absentee owners. Oh, it's a lot. Wow. So 34,000 absentee owners. You guys got like an 85% vacancy rate or something like that. So, okay, we have these properties here. We got people with 100% equity, low equity. So what would your goal be? Essentially, if you're like, hey, I want to pull 10,000 at a time. By the way, real quick, this shows 10,000 max. You can download the entire US if you wanted to, but for for our system to generate a list for you, it's 10,000 records max per list. So you can come here and do 10,000, come back later, right, and then do another 10,000, between 10,000 and 20,000, and then get the rest of that list.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
But are you saying like you would want to like essentially pull this entire city and skip trace it?
Yes.
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, so for us, for example, like I'm in Jacksonville, right? I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. Our team does, and it's pretty much passive now because Prime Trace is what I do full time now. My brother has been a part of my realtor team. In fact, you could even look me up on Zillow. I probably still have an account out there with my team information, but he handles all the real estate side. And so like what we do is we go ahead and do 50,000, at least 50,000 properties a month for a city. And so we would start in Jacksonville, and then we would do that for a month or two and call that list. And then we'll go ahead and rotate to, let's say, Tampa. And then after 1 or 2 months, we rotated to Orlando. And then after that, we start the cycle over again and we go back to Jacksonville. So you'll find yourself pulling these lists, right? Like maxing out an area, and then you can put them into a rotation of either counties or cities that you're targeting, and then reaching back out to those same owners when you come back out. Because you already have the skip trace information once you skip trace it once. Right. So I would update it though. So like, another thing too that people have been asking about is our list stacking feature. because we don't want you to pull duplicate information. So we do have something coming out to where you can basically run your old list against your new list. So like if let's say you come back, it's been 6 months and you're coming back to Summit County and you want to repull this list, we can see if there's been any changes to owner information or their actual contact records, and then just update your list as you go.
Gotcha. Okay. So you don't pay for the whole 30,000 again, just for the ones that are updated?
So if you did that, right, you would probably want to do like the diamond plan, right? Because you would do 3 cents per record. And so that'd be a one-time charge, and then you have that information, and then you don't have to pay for it again, right? Like that information is always be available to you. It's all your skip trace lists are going to be saved to your activity page. And so you can literally just go like property list downloads are just for properties that you just downloaded. And then for skip traces, you could download any of these old skip trace lists that you have. It's just saved to your activity in perpetuity. So you need to use it.
So Stephen,
Okay,
how would
so
she get the updated records? Like only the properties who have changed owner information. How would she find those, and how much would she pay when she found those?
It would just be whatever ones have been updated. So like, let's say there's 34,000. If let's say, she comes back 6 months later and only 1,000 have been updated, then she's only going to get charged for that 1,000 against her total credit base. So that's a list stacking feature that we have coming out. I'm actually meeting with Aaron today about that. So we should be having that released soon. So it's not out yet. So what most people are having to do, like for now, is that they'll do the first 10,000 records. Like let's say we'll do 0 to 10,000, right? And then let's say that's the first month that you do. And so you spend $400 for these 10,000 records. And then next month you save your search, you come back later, and then you're going to do 10,000 to 20,000. And then you're going to save that list, skip trace it right until you max out your list. And then when you go back, so by then, I mean, we're definitely have the list stacking feature out, but what people have been doing before for our power users is what we call them, right? Because we have users that do, a few 100,000 a month. And what we'll do is we'll run it against our deduper, so they would have to email our support team. But they email our support, we run their old list against a new list about our updated database, and then we update their records that way.
Steven,
Gotcha.
But great question.
So if you want the phone number and the email address, it's 6 cents. If you're on
Essentially, right. If you're on Diamond, yeah.
Okay. And it'll give us the name, the phone number, and the address.
So if you skip trace, so this
owner.
Yeah, so this is how it looks like, right? So going back to our Jacksonville list that we did earlier, you have the actual subject property address, city, state, or city, county, state, zip. And then you have, the owner information, right? First, second, and then you have mailing address information. If you do mailer as part of your campaign, you have the number of bedrooms and baths. And then you have, this is like if it's in pre-foreclosure for auction, but you also have like equity information. So you know how much equity they have in their home. And then you can either do this for the mobile only line. And then for our example, we did multiple phone numbers. So we had up to 3 phone numbers here. And then if you did emails, their email address is here. And so another thing to notice is that we just have one email address. Our system runs off a confidence score. That's kind of the identity graph that I was talking about when we went through the slides. So the way that our database works is that it runs off an ID graph. And so it'll essentially, when it skip traces against the address and an individual's name, it goes through our database and essentially fetches what it has the most confidence in. And so if it has a confident email that, let's say internally it says, okay, there's a 70% chance that this is the right email, right? Whereas this email is only a 30% chance that it's right, or we're getting in contact with someone. Or if another email has a high bounce rate, it won't give you that email. So we just base our email address off one address that's going to give you the best result possible. And so what ends up happening, because the thing with email addresses, they're a lot trickier than phone numbers. Because, I mean, how many times have you put in your email address, even for like signing up for something, and you typed in something wrong, you did your email address. And so that happens a lot when people submit email address forms when we aggregate our data, or they put Mickey Mouse 123 and it's not a real email address, right? But it's attached to their name because they filled out a fake form when they shopped at Express last time. And so when we get that kind of information, right, we have to come through it. Our data scientists say, okay, this is junk. And then our system, which uses machine learning and AI, is going to go, oh, wait, this is a high bounce email. I'm not going to attach it. So really, emails are harder to get attached. And you're probably, let's say over a list of, let's say 10,000 records, you're probably only going to have like 5,000 emails attached, just because of how much bad data there is for emails.
Okay.
Sorry, I kind of went into a
Steven,
long way to spiel on that.
Steven, I have a question.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you only show the high equity, but can you pull data from people who miss two payments, landlords that own I think you mentioned the single family homes, but can you get data from landlords that own multifamily and then commercial in order to wholesale commercial? Can you do
Yeah.
just about everything, or is just pretty much residential?
So it's mostly residential and small multifamily. So like 2 to
Okay.
4 units and maybe like up to 10. So you know, we do have what's called like an other filter essentially. And so like let's say if I reset this list and we did somewhere a little bit more populated. Let's say we did, or no, not Athens. Let's do Atlanta. Right. So if we went to like Atlanta, Georgia, right? We have 234,000 properties in Atlanta. And so like let's say if you wanted to do other, right? That's going to be like essentially our commercial properties.
Okay.
And so like this one here, let me see if I can find a good one here. Like see like this is like a commercial property, or this is actually just like this one here is part of like a last sale 23 million. So this was like probably an apartment building that sold.
Okay.
Right.
And-
So and to also bring to that, if you guys wanted it, I could show you kind of like what I do for cash buyers, and this is going to be under one of our tutorials as well. So
yeah,
like
that's the other one, because those are the people they're pay cash.
yeah, so like let's say we want to pull up a cash buyers list. We have a preset lead type for cash buyers, which if you read the tooltip, it's basically look like they were all cash transactions. Now that means it could be either a private money loan, a hard money loan, or they actually did just pay all cash for it, right? Let's say if I wanted to do, single family homes, for example, we'll just do, actually, we don't even need to do that because we're just trying to find straight cash buyers, right? So let's do ownership information. We'll do individual because it's easier to work with individuals, right? Unless you want to target businesses or trust, you can, because we can't skip trace this information as well. And then we'll go ahead and let's do number of properties owned. We'll do a minimum of 3 properties because a lot of people, there's people out there, a good healthy amount of people that own 2 properties, right? They have a second home or something like that. So I like to do 3 minimum. And then you can do portfolio value. Let's say we want a minimum portfolio value of, let's say, $1 million, right? And then I want to do a last sale date of the last 6 months because I want to make sure that they're an active investor. They're constantly buying stuff. So let's just do October of last year, and then we save and apply. And then you can see we have 127 cash buyers that meet that criteria. And so like if I select a property here, right? Like this looks like this is a condo unit that they own. So you can see that this owner owns 5 properties. They have a $1.5 million portfolio value. They have an estimated balance of $460,000 on their mortgages, and they got 1.1 million in equity. This person owns all condos in the same area actually too. So it'd be if you find a property at 2255 Peachtree, you should call Saba over here because he probably wants to sell. Probably wants to buy that property off you, that listing off you, because he's buying properties in that area. So it's a great way for you to pull up active investors in your area.
Cool. And can you get a list of people that are behind 2 months, but they're not in pre-foreclosure, nothing yet, just
No,
behind?
we don't have access to that information. No, it'd only be
Okay.
pre-foreclosure information.
Okay. Cool. That's pretty much that's what I have so far.
Okay. Anybody else? I know it was a lot at once. There's a lot to go over.
No way. This was awesome, Steve. Thank you so much. Like being able to see it real time and understand how to work and what data is possible. It's amazing.
Yeah. And like I said, all this is free. You only have to pay once you have to actually pull like owner information.
When you
Right,
want a record.
Exactly. That's it. So, and another thing too, we don't hold any like credit card information. So a lot of those other big prop tech sites, they want your credit card info, they want your mailing address and they want your phone number. We don't need any of that. Just give us your email. That's it, and you can go ahead and start searching as much as you want. If you have a mailing list, you could download the entire US, like I said, and have that as your mailing list. So it's really if you need to get in contact with people with email or by calling them or texting them.
This is Tracy. I have a question. I think someone asked if the the call list has been scrubbed from the do not call list?
So that's another way that we're able to provide, our services at such a discounted rate is because we do not scrub against the DNC. And so for agents, what we have found is that a lot of them already have dialer systems that do that. And so we basically have that against, we have our agents use that against their dialer system instead to save on cost. Because if we did scrub against the DNC, the pricing would be a little bit different. If you're calling as a wholesaler, as some of you probably already know, or as a principal buyer, that's kind of a gray area when you're calling the DNC, because obviously you're acting as principal to purchase that property from the owner. And so you're not essentially, and of course I'll take this as legal advice, but you're not essentially soliciting the seller, right? You're essentially, hey, I have an offer. I want to buy this for myself. Are you interested? So
Steven, question. So I'm in Denver, right? If I want to flip in Detroit, and I never done anything in Detroit, I don't even know an agent. And of course, if I want to do that, I got to start building my team. But when I pull comps from the property that I'm looking at in Detroit, are those the same comps that the agent is going to pull when he or she goes to the MLS?
Oh, for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so pretty much, I don't really need I don't really need an agent on the front end. I just got to have my agent to sell the property since I'm not licensed there, because I can base my ARV.
Well, here's something else that you should know
Okay.
though. So in terms of when our stuff gets updated, right, it is reliable on county records. And so if something sells within like a week and it hasn't been posted on the county site and our system hasn't gotten that data yet, we're not going to have that updated information. Whereas a realtor is going to have an MLS where it gets live updated, right? It gets updated the day that it gets sold. So we can't really compete against, a live feed from MLS for that area. So you would definitely still want to utilize an agent to help you run comps. Our comp system is just to help you, essentially make your offers to sellers, or if you're an agent, you're not having to leave our app, right? To kind of, you can actually cross compare your comp or your comp report or CMA report with what you've came up with on your MLS side. So it's just an extra tool for you to help make a better informed decision.
Okay, cool. Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, guys, lots of great information here. For those of you who did not already use the QR code or click on the link that Ray put in the chat, when you sign up with Prime Tracers, when you go there and create an account, you get 25 free credits. What Steven is doing for anyone who joined by using that link is giving you an additional 100 free credits. So you can really go in and play around with this, test it out, see if it's something that you're interested in. Amy, I would be all over that. Get my first 125 and get them in the database and get moving on it. So anybody else have any last questions for Steven before we get back to our day?
I have one more, because I got to go to a meeting right now, but if I sign up in the afternoon, your deal is still going on? With the 100?
Yeah.
Okay,
You're fine.
okay.
If you guys came through Agent Impact or, Debbie and Ray, I mean, we'll go ahead and take care of you guys. So we'll have your email. We'll know that where you came from, and I'll add it, shortly. Then once you refresh your page, you'll have it available.
Okay, I'll do it this afternoon.
Yeah,
cool.
That is a good point, that those 100 credits he has to add manually. You will get the 25 immediately, but the 100 credits he has to add manually. So you guys be just a little bit patient with that.
Yeah. Just make sure you have your email info. I mean, Debbie has all your information, guys, but she'll send me the email list, and then anybody that we detect that signs up, we'll add you your credits.
Thanks so much.
No, you're welcome. Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Steve, thank you so much, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Appreciate everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.